Hello, I'm Zane, and our group is presenting ways to create the ideal zoo through comparison of good and bad zoo practice. Zoos have become a big role in animal conservation. They are more than just entertainment, and with this big impact comes a big responsibility to also care for the welfare of the animals. And so here, the rest of the group will present good and bad ways of how zoos handle zoo education, entertainment, and ethics.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. There is still an overwhelming amount of zoos in the world that are completely inhumane. And while Australia's famous zoos such as Taronga Wildlife Park have been working over the last decade to ensure better living conditions for the animals, there is still plenty to improve on. Aspects such as mental stimulation and the social needs of the animals are at the forefront of this at the moment. Zoos were once thought of simply as a place for entertainment for humans. However, until recently, the animals' well-being was ill considered. Organisations such as animal rights and animal welfare groups have been advocating for better living conditions for animals over the last years. It is agreed that there are 5 domains of animals and how they are kept. They are sufficient nutrition that will keep the animals free from hunger and thirst, a comfortable environment for the animal to live in, freedom from pain and injury, encouragement to express natural behaviour, and finally a good mental state in which freedom from fear and distress are important. Zoos in countries that are particularly abundant in Asia are still placing animals in unethical situations, where they are exposed to cruel acts that are purely for the visitors' entertainment, such as dressing up monkeys in costumes for photos, holding marine animals outside of water for extended periods of time, and training animals such as tigers and bears to perform stunts. These acts alone are in clear violation of at least 3 of the 5 domains for captive animals. Zoos such as these should be shut down or completely transformed due to the complete disregard for the unethical situations that the animals are being placed in on a daily basis. Australian zoos should be used as an example. Thank you. Now on to Jordan.
As it has been discussed, zoos have changed dramatically over the decades. I will be focusing on the change that has occurred more recently, and that is the shift from entertainment to education. Zoos were once more like circuses with tiny cages and no stimulation for the animals. Now, in most parts of the world, we can enjoy animals in a slightly more accurate representation of their natural environments. Nowadays, if we were to stroll through Taronga or Sydney Zoo, we would find a placard in front of every enclosure describing a range of information pertaining to the species and often including endangerment status. Zoos have become a center of wider education, such as how Taronga has its own TAFE course associated with it, and both Sydney Zoo and Taronga run wider conservation programs. When designing a zoo in this modern age, it is important we consider how we educate both visitors who enter the zoo and how it reaches out globally to serve the purpose of wildlife conservation education. One theme that I thought would be interesting to help children learn about how important animals are in our world is to focus on the technologies that we have learned from animals. One example is the kingfisher bird and how its beak helped us to design the bullet train in Japan. Another is how the skin of sharks helped us to redesign boats in order to reduce drag. I believe that having information about how the animal or plant helped the world right next to the real-life example would be a huge benefit to the education of the zoo's visitors. This could be paired with information on a website and a live camera of the exhibit in order to make the experience more accessible. Steve Irwin once said, "Education is all about being excited about something. Seeing passion and enthusiasm helps push an educational message." This is why we need to be creative about how we inspire the next generation of wildlife warriors. Thank you.
As a whole, the entertainment in Australian zoos is very ethical. For minimal contact and limited bookings, the overall welfare of the animals are of the highest priority. However, some zoos in places like Thailand focus solely on the profit, and it shows. From exploiting young animals for tourist photos to purposely breeding for unnatural genes to appeal to a wider public, and allowing people to ride animals such as elephants for hours, all for the purpose of entertainment. The things that we look to bring into our zoo would be extremely low contact for the animals, as well as ensuring stress levels are low. Things like giraffe feeding or bird shows, all with a focus not just on entertainment but ethics as well.
So my group has discussed what should and shouldn't be done when considering zoo education, entertainment, and ethics. It is evident that there is an impact on animals, and it is immense, to the point where there can be some serious damage done to these animals if there isn't lots of thought put into their welfare. Since zoos have evolved so far from just being entertainment and become so much more complex, there also needs to be an emphasis on the animal welfare. The well-being of the animals should also be regarded as highly as the people's well-being who are attending the zoo.